Hello, Sounders. This is Mick, who used to be on Pompey Sound. I found this tune. I want to use it to introduce myself. I'll just try and play it.
Mick Robinson says, with his corkscrew flares and his raven wings. Mick Robinson says, Mick Robinson says.
Yes, well, that's enough of that. Did you hear that? I don't know whether that worked. I just found it. It's a bloke called Luke Haynes. Thank you, Luke. So I just thrown myself now. I just wanted to use that just to remind you of Mick Robertson. So you may have thought that I passed away, but no. Like Rip Van Winkle, I've woken up to the new season. But not to talk about that game, the game with West Ham. Well, actually, I do want to talk about it a little tiny bit. Our old rivals, I consider them, West Ham. We've played them many, many times in my lifetime. But not surprisingly, they got the best of us in this particular game because they've had decades in the Premiership, simply, I think we could say. But it wasn't obvious. The difference between the sides wasn't obvious. But I don't want to rabbit on about the promise of this team of ours and how well they played for 90% of that game. I just want to talk to you, Sounders, about a micro moment in the game. A micro moment, because it upset John Mousinho. That was evident in the post-match interview, and I wanted to see if his upset was justified. Sounders, I've considered it, and I believe it was, and I'm now going to present to you why. If you recorded the game, you can look at it and be like me, and I looked at it again, and I'm pretty sure that certainly the 9,000 Pompey there will have recorded it, and you won't have to have seen, because the point is, if you were there, you won't have seen the detail I'm going to describe, because your view, I can see from the television screen, would have been obscured because you were all behind the end where all this action happened. It would have been obscured by the perpetrator, i.e. West Ham, number 30, Scars. Not Scars, Sounders, though he did leave his mark. So, let me take you, run forward if you've recorded it, run forward to the 54th minute, okay, on the Sky feed of the match. 54 minutes in. And the actions at the West Ham end near the corner flag. We're 3-1 down. It's actually coming up to 11 seconds. 4 minutes, 11 seconds. Ebo Adams makes a fairly hopeful, I think, back heel blind behind him as he faces the corner flag. He's being challenged. The ball bobbles to no one in particular, but Waddingham, Tom Waddingham, and number 30 Scars react first. Waddingham lunges into the ball with his left leg as it's rolling towards him. He's got his back to Scars, who slides two-footed into a tackle. So he's horizontal, close to the deck, Scars, and the ball at 54-11, contact is made between Wads, the ball, and Scars' legs. Skulls, he's twisting as he challenges onto his left side on the ground with the sole of his right boot on Tom Waddingham's left ankle. And he brings Wads down. The ball bobbles a little bit away towards the touchline. The referee is nowhere to be seen in my picture. You will have seen him, Sounders who were there. You will have seen him somewhere back nearer the penalty area. If you run it on one more second, you will see Terry Devlin, who is the nearest, perhaps the nearest player other than Wads and Skulls. Terry Devlin certainly has the best view. He's 3 yards away, and at 54 minutes and 12 seconds, he is starting to raise his arm, appealing for a foul. He's got the best view in the house. The linesman or linesperson may have had his or her sight obscured, I acknowledge, by another West Ham player who I don't know which one it was. He was very close. He or she was very close to the action, but they kept their flag down. But they may have been, their sight line may have been, of the particular action I'm talking about, may have been obscured. After the game, John Mousinho was pretty blooming upset with the referee over both the incident with Alvarez, which had happened just minutes earlier, and Zach Swanson, which was a clear and obvious foul on Swanson, it seemed to me, and probably deserving of a red card, as John insisted it was. But the challenge, well, I watched the challenge on Waddingham at the time on the TV, and I thought the challenge was ugly, but not necessarily culpable. And then I listened to John's interview, and so I've done this. I've gone back and I've looked at 54 minutes, 11 seconds and 12 seconds, and I think it too was a foul. Skulls went through the back of Waddingham to get at the ball. He went through Waddingham's planted, emphasised planted, left foot. And as you all know, when you plant your foot and something strikes it, bad things can happen. I mean, I'm not saying it was a sending off. I'm not saying it was like the other one, but because it all happened so quickly, and the three objects, ball and two footballers, met in a second, as I've described. But sadly, very sadly, it could have enormous consequences. Another long-term injury for Waddingham. Wow. That could end his Pompey career, and especially if John Mousinho's listening to certain Pompey fans. I mean, these guys, after the game, they get on social media, they make a mountain out of Waddingham's problem, but not in a good way. They're not sympathising with him at all. They all want him out. They want him out. They say he's a dead loss. They say he's a dead weight. They say he's not good enough. And that is absurd if you look at that incident at 54 minutes 11 seconds. It's absurd to get exercised about him over that particular moment, because he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to have his foot planted there when someone was going to come through, as they did. And it was painful, and who knows? Well, I'm I'm talking to you now shortly after the game. I don't know what the result's going to be, but it could be really bad for the boy. And obviously there are certain fans who won't care, who don't give a damn. But I do have some sympathy with him myself, and in fact I've had some sympathy with him for quite a while, because this has been going on, this sort of persecution, for quite a while. I think Farrell has just given a bad name to the whole young Australian football team. Anyway, I hope it's not as bad as it might be, because it could be a horrible way for the lad to end a dream. But Sounders, I suppose that's football, and that's my lot. Play up, Pompey!